Hi, my name is Grace St. Jakes and I am taking Theology 101 online. So for the question, to describe in my own words why it would be important to know the historical and cultural context of a biblical text, I think if I had to describe in my own words why that would be important, I would definitely have to agree with what I've said in a former video, which I'm so sorry to repeat it, but knowing the context of a text is extremely important, and it can help you in so many ways, and otherwise you really aren't going to truly understand what you're reading no matter how hard you try. And also you probably aren't going to enjoy reading it as much because you're going to be lost and confused and just not really know what's going on. If you read a biblical text with no knowledge about it, it will definitely be hard to try to interpret. That's my personal opinion. It's how I've had to read things. I've had to learn the cultural and historical text behind it to really help me understand it better. I think when it comes to the historical and cultural context behind a biblical text, I believe that it's even more important to make sure that you have a good idea of what's going on, because things are very different now than they used to be back when this whole biblical text was going on. And in the Old and New Testament, it's very different than it is now, and they mean a completely different thing than they do now. There's many examples in the Bible that are so different. If you read it and you think of how things are now, you can see it's completely different. So it's very important to learn what's going on in the historical and cultural context behind it. For example, when I have been reading biblical text, I get to some points where I realize how different things were handled and how people felt about certain things, and it honestly confuses me because all I'm thinking about is how things are now, and I'm like, that's not how it would work now, it's not how it would go now. And I have to put myself in their perspective and in their shoes and try to understand their point of view from the story of the context behind it all. It's hard, but it is possible, and it honestly gives you a much better understanding, in my opinion. For the second question, I believe that it is possible to read the Bible responsibly without knowing or appreciating the world behind it, but it is extremely difficult, and I would not recommend it at all because you really aren't taking in the full story if you aren't appreciating it and understanding it. And I think just understanding, appreciating is very important. And you also are not connecting with the story fully, which is very important because it makes it much more enjoyable. And I feel like I'm very connected with the story so far because I'm trying my best to understand it, and I truly appreciate all the passages I'm reading. But most importantly, you aren't connecting with God if you aren't understanding and appreciating it, because you're just reading it. You're not really appreciating God and everything that He's done for us. So that is definitely important. I think it definitely can make a big difference in how you read and comprehend the Bible. And so that's my opinion. You can do it, but it's really hard. But it can be so much more enjoyable if you do understand and appreciate it. So please try your best to do that. Thank you.